name is Cass Clark, and I'm with CBR.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay,
Happy birthday! First things first.
thank you. It's amazing to talk to you, and I'm so excited to dive into The Girl in the Woods. You direct 4 of the 8 episodes of the series, especially the pilot, which I think is the hardest thing ever to direct. So I would love to know, when you're going into shooting it, what did you hope audiences would take away from Carrie and her supernatural, monstrous world?
The best part was that I got to direct the pilot, because it meant so many big creative decisions and world building and tone setting and casting and hiring department heads. So for me, like that was really the gig to get. It was really important to me to fall in love with this main character from the beginning. And so you were on this ride with her. And there's always questions in the business of like, oh, how do you make sure a main character is likable? And as somebody who has a lot of experience playing characters who may or may not, seem on paper unlikable, I felt like I was the perfect person to tell this kind of superhero origin story. So that was something I really kind of threw myself into and took a lot of pride in. Also, setting a vibe and a tone. Like I have the characters kind of dressing how I dressed when I was their age, and putting like posters on their wall, little Easter eggs everywhere, like really infusing it with my vibe and my taste. And so it was kind of like candy all day. You could not pull me away from the creative pre-production process. And just like kind of infusing it with all of my favorite things. Like a lot of my favorite references are deeply embedded into this show.
And so speaking of superheroes, you directed an episode in season 3 of Jessica Jones, aka You're Welcome, which also in its own way deals with like monsters and trauma and what makes people do the things that they do. So I was curious what from that experience informed how you approached The Girl in the Woods.
Yeah, so a lot of it. I feel like that episode that I did of Jessica Jones was just the perfect thing for me to first direct, because it was my crew and my team and a show that I know so well. However, it was told from a totally different character's perspective. And so telling Hellcat's origin story, shooting all of those stunts and action sequences and getting in her head, I think is just like the perfect thing that teed up for me to get this gig with Girl in the Woods. It's all character first, character, and finding ways to inject humor in the drama and shooting some sexy stunt and fight choreography.
And speaking of Carrie, who's very much kind of the narrator of this world and hero adjacent character for sure. What's something about Carrie's perspective that you just loved, that like when you read the script, you were just like, I really love this about her and I can't wait to share this with everyone?
Yeah, what I loved so much about this character is her true core and desire to help and do good. She finds herself in a situation where all of her things that she grew up learning are crumbling around her and wanting out and wanting to leave, and she gets pulled back in. She's a reluctant superhero, really, right? So she's a badass and she is tough and she sees the world in a completely different lens, because she is from this colony that has completely different belief systems than we do in the modern world. So that's what I love so much about her, is how strong she is, how stripped down she is, how it's not about like her sex appeal or her glamour. It is about her doing the right thing at the end of the day.
Awesome. And my very last question, you recently started Night Books, which is also a film about monsters and trauma and breaking free from what people like just think about you. So I was so curious why you feel like drawn to these metaphors, especially around like monsters and being, I guess, saying that like breaking away from what people expect of you. It seems like something
that's exactly what it is, right? It's breaking away from what people expect. And that is very exciting to me as an artist. Kind of not being able to be put in a box. Night Books is a fantastic, villainous, over-the-top character in this wonderful horror movie for kids that has an amazing heart at its core and an amazing message that being different is actually what makes you awesome. So I loved the opportunity for like the performance of this like delicious over the top witch, but I also really loved the heart and the message of that movie. And then with Girl in the Woods, like an opportunity to have a female lead that we don't see all the time, and have a show about something completely different. So for me, it's all about changing it up. And I've been so fortunate in my career to really kind of do something wildly different each time I show up to work.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been great.
Thank you.
Uh,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.